I'm here to help you folks do well. And you're doing well right now, and I'm very honored by the bounce. They're all talking about the bounce, so right now everybody in Israel has to like me at least a little bit, but we're going to try and have that bounce continue. And perhaps even more importantly, we want you to keep going with the incredible innovation.
The headlines blared, tech gods descend on Trump Tower. The top tech leaders, including Apple's Tim Cook, Amazon's Jeff Bezos, and Tesla's Elon Musk, meeting with the president-elect and his team on Wednesday.
Yeah, Donald Trump making it clear that he wants the technology industry to bring jobs back to America. NASDAQ CEO Bob Greifeld is with us. Bob, can these companies actually bring the jobs back home and still be profitable? I mean, do you expect that this tax plan is in fact going to mean money from overseas comes into America?
Yeah. So I think Donald Trump will be good for the tech industry. For one, as you say, we'll be able to repatriate money back, and a lot of that money is concentrated in the hands of technology companies. Two is H-1B visas, right? He has said before, if we need the people, we'll get them. And it's hard for most Americans to relate to it, but we have segments of our economy where there are just not enough people, primarily from the STEM high-tech field. So I think that's important. It's also important to recognize as the nature of manufacturing has changed, it becomes less people-intensive. So I think that's more of a reasonable proposition today than it was 10 years ago.
You know, Bob, I'm watching that video, and I'm thinking, you know all those players, most of them listed on the NASDAQ.
That's right.
They
went public on the NASDAQ.
They all
you were there for the IPO.
They are.
What do you think they were all thinking when they got up to Trump Tower? What do you think happened behind that meeting this week?
Well, I would say this. I think the meeting was symbolic, but I think there's also substance to it, all right, because we're saying that we will have a dialogue, and I think that has been a theme of Trump's transition, right? You see, obviously, a large number of people coming in and out of the tower. I think his personality suits to outreach to people and get input, and I think that's in stark contrast to what we've had for the last 8 years. So I think it's going to be an inclusive conversation with many, and if I'm a technology company, to have the ability to talk to the White House and hopefully educate, inform, influence, valuable.
I know there's a couple of names that you would like to actually see there who may very well end up listing on NASDAQ. Some big deals on the horizon is what I'm getting at. IPOs have not been great this year, right? 2016 was just an okay year for IPOs. Give us your forecast for the year ahead.
Sure. I would say 2016 was a little less than okay. The fourth quarter is turning out to be okay, but the year itself was disappointing. There is a strong correlation between companies coming public and the health of the overall market. Right, so that's important. So the fact we're approaching 20,000 or achieved 20,000 is important. But also, the companies that have come public this year, they have done better than the broader market. And in my years, that is the best predictor, right? The quality of the IPOs in the preceding years directly influence the quantity of the IPOs in the succeeding year. So the fact we've had quality IPOs where they've increased in price leads me to be optimistic for 2017.
You know, I've been asked, Maria, you've probably been asked as well, what difference does it make if I'm an investor where the stock is listed? You know, tell people, what difference does it make if my stock is listed at the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange? Why should I care?
Well, I think the corporations care the most in that we have a bundle of services and support for them. And I always say it's a lot more difficult being a public company as compared to a private company, and we want to ease them through that transition. So we've built that up over the last decade, and we've done that uniquely. So at the corporation, they should care a lot. We're very proud of the fact with respect to investors, retail, institutional investors, we run our market in an electronic fashion. We run it fair and transparent. So when we open the stock, we will show to you the order imbalance. We'll broadcast that to the world, the predictive opening price or the closing price if it's the cross, so that all investors have equal access. We don't put a gate in the middle, and we provide really a democratic access to the marketplace.
So are you right now schmoozing Snapchat and Uber and all these big names that want to go public next year?
I think it's very important for us as part of our mission to communicate to every prospective issuer we have. Yeah. And so we do that, yes.
So yeah,
the answer is yes.
You think you're going to get those companies?
I'm not making any predictions, but I'm very comfortable in the value proposition of listing on NASDAQ.
All right, Bob, you're retiring officially in a couple of weeks. Been a great tenure. The market capitalization has gone from, it's been an incredible run since
about 500 million to almost 12 billion, so that's not so bad.
Yeah, that's
wow.
That's a pretty good return.
Congratulations, Bob.
So what's next up for you?
Well, I'm going to remain chairman for a while, but when you're the CEO of NASDAQ, your schedule is controlled. I certainly want to be almost as busy as I am today, but I want to be in better control of my schedule. You probably might feel the same way.
And that's a great way to phrase it.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to be busy schmoozing all these executives.
Snapchat and Uber. And by the way, I know we've got all these elections in Europe coming up.
Yes,
You've got a lot of
they're
international
important.
companies listed.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because people weren't expecting Britain to leave the European Union. They weren't expecting Donald Trump to win the presidency. What's most important in terms of these European elections on the horizon?
Well, I think what you'll see is the people, again, being able to express their will. And immigration is a big issue in Europe, as it was in the election in 2016 here. So I am not going to be in the prediction business of what the outcome is, but I would say that it's somewhat uncertain.
Our thanks to Bob Greifeld.